Welcome to Buckets Live, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by Michael Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks on Twitter and in the Action Network app. He hosts the Advantage Sports Betting Podcast. You can catch his Twitter show every day, breaking down the market not only on NBA but also on WNBA. Make sure to check that out. Follow him on Twitter at Fiddle's Picks. Also joining me, G Dog 5000, Jill Gallant. He hosts the Touchdown Show, and he's also an avid and extremely sharp three-point prop bettor here at the Action Network, as well as a prop analyst across the board. He also lives in a time zone where no other human I've ever met lives, so he's got that going for him. It's like 7 in the morning where he is. I don't even, I don't know where he. I don't know where. This is how my friends act when they talk about mountain time. They'll be like, "Oh, it's 5 o'clock." So for you, it's like 2 in the morning. I'm like, I'm an hour behind.
It's
Uh,
quarter to eight where I'm at right now, so it's 7:42. We'll be okay. It's more of the post game ones where I'm a little sleepy.
For sure. Today's show, we will give you a dog and M underdog lineup. We will talk to you about parlay, and we'll give you best bets as we get into Wolves Thunder Game 4. What a dramatic! The West is so dramatic. The Wolves face the Thunder, and in the East, it's like the Pants take on the Pacers. It's a very different vibe between the two conferences. We will do all that and more on today's show. Reminder that everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. You have the second information where the bets and money are coming in from. Our Action Pro subscriptions now have WNBA projections for both side and total and props. So you're going to want to check that out as well. Lots of great stuff. Just check it out in the Action Network app. As you're watching this at youtube.com/the Action Network, reminder, we'll have a post-game show with Brandon Anderson after the game. We'll talk about where the series is at. We'll look at futures. I will bet Thunder over Pacers again because that's what I do on every post-game show. Lots of stuff to check out there as well. We'll start today by giving out our underdog, dogging him lineup. Because I want to tell you that Underdog is one of the best places to make picks during playoff basketball. While they score buckets, you score cash. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play right now in your state. Their app has over 100,000 five-star reviews and millions of players. To play, all you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose from things like points, assists, and so much more. Once your picks feel good, you can play with as little as $1. And if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. We do a dog and him lineup from time to time here, and that's only rebounds, steals, or blocks. And we have a good one because this one figures to be a little bit of a bounce back for the Oklahoma City Thunder defensively. Alex Caruso, 1.5 steals, higher. Alex Caruso, higher, 1.5 steals. Why? Well, they can't call all of them. Can't foul him out on every play. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander steals 1.5 higher. They had a abysmal turnover rate in game 3. That's not going to happen again. This was a guy that was second in steals. They're going to generate more pressure. And for whatever reason, Shea just winds up with the ball on a lot of those steals. Even when other guys make deflections, Shea's got a great nose for the ball. 1.5 steals higher for him. Nas rebounds, 6.5 rebounds. Nas Reed, 6.5 rebounds lower. Michael Fiddle, the market's moved in that direction.
Yes, the market has definitely moved towards that under.
Mike Conley rebounds 2.5 higher because Conley's been heading in that direction in the market as Mike's actually pretty sneaky about swooping in there, and I think we might see more three-guard lineups, and Conley will wind up with a few more of those tonight as well. Download the app and sign up with promo code Buckets100 to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code Buckets100. Must be 16 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Michael Fiddle, talk to me about the market and where it's at currently for Thunderwolves Game 4 and where you see it moving.
So I think we're pretty much at the lines where it's going to be. This is going to close around Thunder -3. Maybe we get to -3.5 and a cheap 3.5 at that. But typical and prototypical for what we've seen all playoffs. There's some late Thunder action. And if you look at where these lines opened and where they are now, you could say, oh, there's some Wolves sentiment in the market because there were fours and now it went all the way down to 2.5 and it's come back to 3. If you got to also kind of evaluate how long have those lines been there. So when you look at when and the timestamps regarding the Wolves +4 that were on the market that were taken out pretty quickly, they lasted seconds and a few minutes. So it's not really like apt to say because the books could have just moved off of it knowing that was too far. But the action is clearly coming in right now on not only the Oklahoma City Thunder, but also the over, Matt. I think it's pretty shocking that we're seeing 219.5 show up for this game. It is the highest total that we've seen on the board all series between these two. Obviously, game one went under, but the last two have gone over, and every game has had consistent over action. Even dating back to the regular season, all four matchups between these teams went over the close. So it tends to be an over series at 219.5. It feels like a premium to pay. One thing that I would consider doing is playing the OKC team total over 110.5 as a way to kind of buy into both of that OKC little bit of movement and that over movement and take that kind of angle at it at this point. The other thing that I want to point out, a very, very large prop move that was kind of surprising to me was last time we came on here and said Ant's PRA has gone up a full 3 points, and then he came out 15 points in the first quarter, outscores the Thunder, cruises over all of the numbers. Now we're seeing a vast under movement on Anthony Edwards' PRA, and it's mainly coming from his points. Like, this is a vast reduction from his scoring output. The scoring line has gone from 29.5 down to 27.5. And so we're seeing like a full point and VIG, maybe like a 40-50 cent move in Anthony Edwards props towards the under. So I think that all of that lines up for me to look towards OKC, maybe the over, but preferably OKC on the team total over if playing into the totals market.
Kind of sitting on the side here on the spread because we saw movement. We see movement consistently on the Knicks in the conference finals and consistently on the Thunder. I'm trying to understand why the Sharps are never disagreeing with the power rating. Like, those teams were favored to come into the series by more than I think that probably, like, we liked being able to go the other way on our series preview. I'm a little surprised that even night to night we're not seeing any we're not seeing any disagreement with where they have these two teams power rated. Can you talk a little bit about that dynamic?
I think it's just a good observation. There really hasn't been many two-sided markets, is I think what Matt you're alluding to, like some discrepancy, some maybe groups going against each other,
Yeah.
some fights over some key numbers. It really seems to be one-directional markets, a little bit stagnant as like when is the buy-in price. I probably think it just speaks to the fact that the lines are so sharp, that we've reached this point where we have 82 regular season games, a host of playoff games, and now we're at this point where like the lines are just really sharp. And I think bettors probably stay away from as big of action at this point in the playoffs. And so has there been a few instances where they've gone with the worst power rating? I mean, taking an NBA playoff favorite has been a tale as old as time, but I mean, it's changed recently with the variance of 3-point shooting and the parity. So maybe it's something that the betting market will eventually catch up to. I mean, we talked about that with home court advantage last time and how that's seemingly changing drastically throughout these playoffs. It's something to consider, but yeah, I don't think I have a great answer.
That's okay. It's all right to say you don't know. That's okay. I like asking questions, and I always think that I don't know is a more interesting answer than not. I see folks in the chat talking about their bets. We'll get to your bets when we get at the end of our show, and what I call open run. We'll talk about your bets and get the guys to weigh in on them as well. JJ's in there talking about the Ant rebounds 50-1 for he's got it for a lot of units, and so.
The Brandon Anderson
The
special.
Brandon Anderson special. Tune in post game, JJ, and we'll get you the answers on that. Brandon will be on with me, and we'll talk about how to hedge and depending on what goes down tonight on that bet. All right, let's do best bets for Game 4 in the Western Conference Finals. Game 4 between the Thunder.
Matt, I was just going to mention about the Edwards prop of where it is right now, just game to game. It's kind of priced out now at this point. I just wanted to mention that, like, both sides of the market, I think it's actually pretty close to where it needs to be. It's around plus 110, plus 115 to the over, but that's kind of where it is. It's at 8.5. The issue is that, of course, he could fall below that, but if you want to take the under on that now, you're looking at minus 150 to minus 155, and he is outshone those projections in each game. So I would say with Anthony Edwards, as far as game to game, I hope that you got that game one, or even after game one, you were still able to get it at 5-1 for series leader rebound prop. But at some point, there's sometimes in these markets where you just kind of have to take a step back and say, I can't play this anymore.
It's good advice from Gilles Gallant. Let's go around the table. We'll give our best bets for game 4. Michael Fiddle, what do you like tonight?
I like OKC on the money line. There is like minus 150s hanging out there, and that's what I'm going to play.
Okay, I observe the Matt Mitchell rule, so I will take OKC ATS as well. I will also take OKC money line, and I will take the over tonight, even at the higher number that we've seen pop up in the market. Gilles Gallant, what do you like?
Well, I do like Jalen Williams over 4.5 assists. I almost feel like it's company policy to come on this podcast and say that you like Jalen Williams over 4.5 assists. So I'm going to be a company man and do that. But the other side is I like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to go under his 3-point prop, under 1.5 3-pointers. I can't wait to explain that.
All right, let's start with the market side here, Fiddle. I mean, do I need to ask beyond the market thinks it is going towards OKC? So you like OKC? Is there another angle here?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
That's
You're
it.
factoring in some zigzag. The only thing that I'll throw in is the reason why I'm playing the money line over the spread is because if you just look at conversion charts and what is a -3 or 3.5 as it's being priced on the market relative to a money line, the money line should be closer to minus 155 or higher. So saving 5 cents and taking the minus 150 instead.
Yes, but if you're favored in these playoffs and you win all time since 2003, it's 78% ATS, and in these playoffs, that number still is at a very healthy 76%.
Yeah, I would imagine it's not going to land in the 1, 2, 3 zone, but I am a sucker for numbers, and if the conversion chart says the money line is a better price, that's what I do.
I like
Somewhere Matt
Fiddle.
Mitchell is having an aneurysm right now.
I like Fiddle's discipline. I like Fiddle's like
This morning,
too.
here's a
Me
good
too.
example. This morning, the Atlanta Dream was out there, and I liked Atlanta Dream -1 or -1.5, and I chose the -1.5, -102 instead of the -1, -110 because it was technically 2 cents better of value.
Yep. Truly a disciple of Steve Fezzik, Michael Fiddle. Gilles Gallant, let's talk about yours because I want to start right here. Last night on Buckets on Sunday night, we gave out Shea over 1.5 3-pointers made. We even put that into a parlay. We looked at some alternates. We looked at an opportunity to take Ant and Shea both over together. We looked at all these, and I got hopped on the pregame, our pre-show call with Gilles Gallant this morning for the afternoon show, and Gilles was just livid, like livid, madder than I've ever seen Gilles Gallant. A pretty cool.
I can't
dude.
believe you allowed that. Like, that was why I.
It's like a personal attack on me for
That's how
not
it felt.
wrangling the conversation better. Talk to me about why you want the Shea under here, Gilles.
All right. So let's give a little bit of background context because this has been my go-to prop. I've taken it both, and I really have taken it in every game in the Denver series and then also in every game in this series. So he has gone under in both game 1 and game 2. But we got to talk about game 3 because I feel like a lot of that reaction in that post-game show was what we had just seen. And I feel like we were watching different things because that was clear blowout game script. They were not like, I know that people were going to talk about how they went under on the screens, but Shea has already been reluctant to take those threes, even in those spots. And the volume from 3-point is just not there. Only 23% of his total shots in the playoffs come from 3-point. Also, Matt, in 14 playoff games, he's only had 3 games where more than 25% of his total shots were from 3-point. And one of those was in game 3. Also, another thing that one of you guys said, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, well, it's not like he's a bad 3-point shooter. Well, it's not like he's been a good 3-point shooter either, because the data says he's shooting 29% from behind the arc in the playoffs. That is not good. And then, of course, the Wolves, you coming into the series, we talked about how they're very good at limiting threes, very good at chasing guys off the line. Well, in that game, in game three, 44 3-point attempts, mainly because they're trailing by 30 at that point. They have to do whatever they can to try to catch up. 44 in game three, 33 in game two, only 21 in game one. And so if the Thunder take 40 or more 3-point shots again, they're going to probably lose. I think that's going to come down. And if they are taking 40 plus 3-point shots, it's probably because OKC is trailing by 20 or more points again. So since I'm on the same bandwagon of you as that, I think OKC is going to win this game tonight. One final point I wanted to bring up is in the Thunder's 4 playoff losses, Shea has hit this in 3 of 4 games. In the Thunder's 10 playoff wins, he's only gone over this in 3 of them. So if we're expecting a Thunder win tonight, which I am, I don't expect Shea is going to have to take 3-point attempts to get there. And I think it's also telling that his 3-point attempt market is sitting there at 4.5 at minus 115 to each side. That's not enough volume to justify taking an over in this. So again, I respectfully disagree with Joe Delara and Jim Turvey, and I wish them well.
Okay. All right. Here's a counter. He went over this in 3 of 4 in the regular season matchups versus the Wolves. Those games, he was playing over 33 minutes in each of them and over 35 minutes in 2 of them. The OKC blowout numbers are irrelevant in the playoffs because he won't play down the stretch of those games.
Mm-hmm.
The script says that the Thunder blow teams out at home, but not on the road. And so if he goes 40 minutes tonight in what I think might be a close one, I do think the opportunity might be there. I made the point about him being a 29% 3-point shooter in the playoffs. I think it's relevant. I don't necessarily think that it's like he's off. I think he just hasn't necessarily had to take them, and there's been I don't think teams have guarded him like this.
It's
And so
also
I do
just not a
think that
big part of his game, though. Like that's the one thing too.
I hear you. There's two things here. I agree it's not a big part of his game because most teams are never going to guard him like this. And so the schematic adjustment opens up the opportunity. Now, I'm torn because I can see both things both ways.
I
Like I
think it's
really
also
can.
price too. Like around, like
Mhm.
I think I should. That's a key disclaimer here. Is that like I
Yep.
took this at minus 105 to the under. I
Yep.
think when you guys gave it out last night, it was around minus 120 to the over.
Yep.
When I have this kind of closer price to about a coin flip, and the fact that you're giving me better odds on the underside, I would definitely take the under in that spot. So I think that's the one thing too, is that with Shea, it's just tricky. Like if you're going to take the over 1.5, I think it had to have been plus odds if we were going to give it out. But again, that's just my expectation and projection, and I think he's going under tonight. So that's where we're at.
Hey, that's very reasonable. And that's totally understandable, and smart people can disagree, which is why whoever loses, I will drag on this show to shame them on the next episode that we are due together. Um, let's talk about Jalen Williams over 4.5 assists because that is the Action Network official play of the 2025 postseason.
Yeah, I mean, we don't bail now. Like just because it didn't come through in game three, like this is a prop that we've all been betting for the entire postseason run. The line in this series when we started was at 5.5. We talked about how we were feeling a little uncomfortable wanting to take the over on the 5.5, even though there was a bit of plus money to the over. But he's cleared this line in 11 of 14 playoff games, so a 78% hit rate. He's second on the team with 10.3 potential assists in the series. He's clearly playing backup point guard duties when Shea is off the floor. I think this is a bit of an overreaction because coming into that game, it was at 5.5 with a little steam, with a little plus odds to the over, and then they dropped it back this morning when I tracked it on the Action app. He was at 4.5 at minus 125, and that was after a game three blowout where he only played 25 minutes. Again, overreaction city. So I think we have to go right back to Jalen Williams over 4.5 assists.
We got a good crowd watching us here at youtube.com/the Action Network. Hit the like and subscribe button for me. Do me a favor and hit me there. Okay, so we've run through those. We've hit on all the bets that we're going to take. I will briefly hit on the over. This isn't a market or this isn't a number projection. I have this every game in the series projected under what the average line is going to be. This one individual case, I think is going to be a higher scoring game because I think it's going to be closer. If the game is closer down the stretch, it's weird. If a game is extremely close or if a game is extremely a blowout, both cases I think are under or over situations. Fiddle back me up on this. That basically down the stretch, timeouts, high, like you got to get a bucket, free throws on the other side. Those things bump up the total. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, anytime there's late game foul, you kind of want to be in this sweet spot where one team's winning by 4.
Right. And then on the other side of this, if it is a blowout, you get the two scrub teams running up and down the floor and scoring buckets.
We
And
just
it's
saw it yesterday. Games that have a spread or an outcome north of 10, so double digits, and have a total around 215 go over about 65% of the time.
That's an excellent stat, Michael Fiddle. So both of those lead me towards the over here. I think it's either going to be close or it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be in the middle. So I think this is going to be an over game tonight. I think you're going to get the best punch from the Wolves. I think you're going to get a much better punch from the Thunder. And the question is, does a great punch from the Wolves and a good punch from the Thunder, who wins that game? My answer would be the over wins that game because I do think that good offense will trump good defense, and they'll try and get out in transition to get ahead of these set defenses. We do have a parlay for you that I want to talk about. Let's go and talk about what we've got on the parlay for you tonight. And the parlay script is effectively we're scripting a Thunder win because the market thinks that it's going to be a Thunder win. I think it's going to be a Thunder win, so we're going to script it that way. OKC -3. Sorry, Fiddle. We're going to go ahead and throw that in here.
That's fine.
And Jalen Williams 5+ assists because that's the official prop of the action. I should just throw that in every single one of these. Just like start the parlay with Jalen Williams 5+ assists. Lou Dort 2+ made threes. Do you know why? Because the number 2 player that Jalen Williams has assisted to is Lou Dort. Now, Lou's not good on the road. He struggles with these 3-point attempts on the road. We just need him to hit 2 tonight. He might take a bunch. I do think they're actually going to take a bunch of threes tonight, and I understand Jill's point of that not being an OKC script. I think they'll take threes if they're available for him. I think they'll still try and get to those high efficiency shots. So I'm okay
Well,
adding in the Lou Dort 2+
I would
threes.
just counter. I would just say 30 plus threes around that range is okay. 40 or more, then that's when we're starting to get into losing territory.
That's a good point. And then Anthony Edwards under 27.5 points because there's very little chance, not very little chance. It gets much harder for the Thunder to win if Ant goes for 40 or more. So we're going to take the under on Ant 27.5. Imagine the Thunder disrupting him, causing a lot more steals. That gets us on our underdog dogging him lineup, and that will help us out with this parlay. So OKC -3, J-Dub 5+ assists, Lou Dort 2+ threes, and Ant under 27.5 points is a +600 on the parlay in the market. Real quick, I want to hit on some of the comments that we got here at youtube.com/action network. Randall under 1.5 threes from TG Proby. Jill, do you have any thoughts on Randall and where his 3-point props are at for this game?
Well, the volume hasn't been great for him, and the fact that you and I and Fiddle were just discussing whether or not we like the under for his points prop is making me just feel a little leery. So I would actually probably look at the inverse, under 1.5 threes with under 19.5 points, see if you can get a little correlation there. But under 1.5 3-pointers, I'm not saying I have to see what the odds are. I can look it up here in a second, but if it's just 50-50 on either side, then I would just avoid it. I wouldn't even play it.
Okay. Andrew Laws says he loves Randall under 4.5 assists, +110 Caruso under 2.5 assists, and -175 Jaden McDaniels under 5.5 rebounds, -105. I guess one of my questions would be on Caruso and the assist factor. Caruso sometimes acts as a secondary playmaker in those settings, but he hasn't done as much in this series because of who they're guarding him with. I don't mind this play, but I do think it's a little bit risky, Jill.
Well, I think the key concern, because a lot of his assists, especially like if you look back to game one when they were just manhandling guys, were off of turnovers. And so if they're not, I feel like a lot of his assists were coming off of those just fast break transition points. So if we're not getting those, like again, I just don't know if the turnovers are going to be there the way that we see on the Timberwolves side. But I think the Randall under 4.5 assists and the McDaniels prop are good. It's the Caruso one that I'm a little hung up on.
Caruso props have taken some weird moves towards the over, and they've been priced abnormally high for this game compared to his output. So I would be very hesitant to go unders on Caruso.
Well, that's interesting. David Martell, who's joined us on every show and is really sharp, honestly. Caruso under 1.5 assists, +130 in the market. He's only averaging 0.7 potential assists in this series. That's a fascinating number there. So something to look at. But the market obviously thinks there's a bounce back coming for
Damn, he's right.
him.
I'm just looking at the potential assists. 0.7. That's amazing.
The Caruso numbers, what his stats and output is to what his prop lines for this game was one of the most staggering and confusing things that I saw.
Interesting.
It screams stay away. Like his over 4.5 rebounds plus assists, which he hasn't hit once in this series and didn't hit towards the end of last series. It was like in the beginning of the Denver series he was hitting it. That's minus 150 to the over. And it was just like, what? Why? He hasn't been generating much stats or much usage at all. I think they're expecting a Caruso game.
Well, it depends on whether you want to follow the market or not, or fade it, Michael Fiddle. Because I
I
got
just see it shading. I describe that as it's shading the number that way. So it's like it wasn't a movement thing. It was just where the price came out. It was like and then there was no resistance to it. So
one last one.
catchy.
Matt Palmisano says Hartenstein under 2.5 assists. He says it's almost a lock. Wolves is a bad matchup. I actually agree with this one, and the reason is when I went back and watched, the Wolves are not crashing down to stop Hartenstein. They're just going to trust Rudy to contest those shots and live with them. It's one bounce, he gets that floater up, and that's it. I like Hartenstein a lot as a short roller, but the Wolves are not going to blitz Shea. That's the opportunity where you get those short roll 3-on-4 opportunities for the big to make a pass to the corner. The Wolves are not giving that. They are saying, if Hartenstein's going to beat us with a floater with Rudy Gobert defending in the paint, so be it. Fine. We'll live with it. So there's actually just not a lot of assist opportunities. When they've tried to go for the Hartenstein lob to Chet, they've missed it because of the kind of pressure that they've put on both on the ball by the Wolves. So I think that Hartenstein under 2.5 assists is a good number to take there as well. All right, that's gonna do it for buckets. My thanks to Giver Ghoul putting up with my procrastination today on a holiday Monday. I appreciate you guys joining us. Big crowd today. Keep joining us after the game. Brandon Anderson and I'll be on. We'll look at futures. We'll talk the game, and we'll look forward. We'll do conversations about series leader, etc. Tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern, Buckets Live doing our usual best bets for Game 5 of Wolves and Thunder. We'll talk about all those and more. Download the Action Network app. Hit the like and subscribe. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.